all, and welcome to the Movie Bears podcast. I'm Bradley Harris, and along with some of my favorite husky, hairy, huggable homos who love film, we bring movie reviews, either from current films or classic films, or sometimes both. But this week, it's definitely in the current category. So current that some of the things we may be talking about, you might not even be able to see yet, but we guarantee at least three of those things will be available for you to see. And one of them is out in theaters right now. It's October relative to when we're recording here in the United States. It is spooky season officially. And we are bringing in a spooky, maybe not so much spooky as thrillery, slashery, but we're going to bring you a review of The Strangers Chapter 2, Ghosts. First one came out a few years ago. Second one is out now. We've got some thoughts that we want to share with you. If you've had a chance to see this movie, we want to hear your thoughts too. Or even if you're on the fence or thinking about it, jump into that live chat, say hi, tell us what you think. And then once we're all done reviewing The Strangers Chapter 2, we are going to be talking about some other films coming out of Fantastic Fest because The Strangers Chapter 2 played at Fantastic Fest as well. Seems like the perfect way to kick this episode off. And then Jim and Will, who were our boots on the ground, Fantastic Festers, are going to be talking to you about several films from the festival that stood out for them. And spoiler alert, I got to see one a few days later when it came out. It was on Shutter, I think, right, Will? I haven't introduced you yet, but we all know
That's
you're
right.
there.
That's right. Yeah.
No, Will, you can't talk until we introduce you. Those are the rules.
Sorry. Actually, it's not William. It's a ghost. A spooky,
Oh,
Fantastic Fest ghost.
oh. I'm pretty sure I've told someone before, you don't exist until I acknowledge you.
I'm
But I
sure
would
you
never say
probably
that.
did.
I would never
I'm
say
guessing
that
You
on the
did.
podcast. Maybe just a little bit. Anyway, big show for y'all. We're excited to have you here. But let me introduce my wonderful co-host, who you've heard from a little bit already, and we love it when that happens. Jim Pugliafico. I am actually not 20 feet down the hall from you
Nope. Not
this
now.
week. And the week before, you were not 20 feet down the hall from me. We've been splitting our time in Austin, Texas. I'm in Will's dining room right now while Will is
How did you
upstairs
end up in Will's dining room?
It happened. It's magic. It's a thing. It's spending
Yeah.
time with friends and doing some work
Aw.
stuff while I'm out here in Austin. Might be moving to Austin. I don't know. Things are happening. Lots to talk about. But Jim Pugliafico, back in Tucson. My heart. I love you. I miss you. I can't wait to see you. But I'm glad I get to podcast with you right now. How the hell are you?
I'm good. Yeah, we're almost halfway through the week of you being away, and it's a little hard as those of you who have jobs or family or whatever that take them away from home. It can be hard on couples. It can be hard on families, but yeah, it's kind of sucks to be away from the ones you love the most. But this podcast, luckily for this podcast, I get to see and hear from Brad, even though we FaceTime every day. This is just a long FaceTime with movies, basically. Yeah.
I love that. What I also love is that you got to say hard on like 3 times.
I
in a
know.
row.
I knew you'd pick up on that.
What can I say?
Yeah.
Well, glad you're here, babe. Really excited to chat with you this week. And Will, I know we've been hanging out for a few days already, but I'm equally excited to chat with you. Hello from inside the house. How are you?
The call is coming from inside the house, literally. No, it's been great. If you think about it, last week I was hanging out with Jim, watching a lot of movies. Brad, we've been hanging out this week. We've got a movie queued up for later this week that we're going to go see while you're here. I feel like right now Daddy and Daddy have gotten a divorce, and I'm getting to spend time with each one in an equal custody thing, and I'm the one that's winning out in that scenario. So
Yeah.
I'm so excited to have you here, Brad. So it's of course Scott and our pups and Jim. I know you got the opportunity to prime the pups before Brad got here. So I'm on cloud nine right now, hanging out with y'all this last couple weeks.
Well, I mean, like I got to so in my week there, I got to see movies with you, and in this week, Brad's going to mostly talk about movies with you. So,
but we've already watched a couple things, and we have another one coming up. I'll get my Alamo Draft House time this trip
I can't wait.
on Thursday. Looking forward to that for sure. And Will, I have just one thing to say in this like daddy divorce scenario, and
Oh
that's
yeah.
don't worry, son. We'll always make sure you feel loved.
That was a very safe, sane, and consensual way to say that.
Anyway, Jim's like, what the fuck is happening right now? All right. So, lots happened in the last couple weeks. Of course, Fantastic Fest being one of those things, and then all the associated travel. We're going to get a lot deeper into Fantastic Fest a little bit later in the show, but we're going to kick things off by talking a little bit about The Strangers Chapter 2. Of course, that played at Fantastic Fest. We've got a great intro for that coming up for you. But let me just give you our basic warning. If you are new to the show, and I heard from someone last week who listened for the very first time, which is very exciting because we're 537 episodes in at this point. People are still discovering the show. That makes us happy. But our format is we talk about a movie for about 10, 15 minutes, spoiler free, and then we give you lots of warning before we open things up to those spoilers. So if you're like, whoa, wait, I haven't seen The Strangers Chapter 2 yet, don't worry. Our initial thoughts will be safe. And then if you don't tune out in the like minute and a half, I awkwardly ramble a spoiler warning, that's kind of on you at that point. So do with that what you will. I'm not being blamey. I'm just encouraging you to step away as you need to do. In any event, Jim, Will, are we ready to get to our movie discussion of the week?
Yes.
Knock, knock, knock. Let me in so we can review this movie.
Is Tamara there?
Oh, that's going to be so great in the audio version when the trailer plays and we hear, is Tamara there? But for those of you who are listening live and didn't get to listen to the trailer just now, just pretend Jim was wearing a beanie in the rain,
right,
and looking furtively at the camera.
Maybe cocking his head slightly to the side.
Just a skosh.
Just a little.
All right. Here we go. Our discussion of The Strangers, Chapter 2. Will, there was just a crazy loud motorcycle roar outside. I don't know if you heard it over the camera or, through your window, but that just punctuated that so well. It was amazing.
I wish that the motorcycles that race by this house always perfectly punctuate great moments in the podcast instead of like in the middle of while I'm talking or in the middle of Brad and I have to mute really quick.
Right? Oh, goodness gracious. All right. Well, Jim, you are kicking this one off for us, having seen this, of course, at Fantastic Fest. And then again with me. Thanks for being a trooper. Maybe, question mark, and seeing it again, or thanks for loving
that's
it
right.
so much you saw it twice.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I saw this twice.
It seems like you are well equipped to kick this one off for us. So, if you don't mind, spoiler free, of course, as we promised before the jump, what the heck is The Strangers Chapter 2? Feel free to talk about seeing this at Fantastic Fest if you want, even though we're going to talk more about the festival later. And what did you think? Is this worth checking out in theaters during spooky season? Is this maybe wait for streaming or skip? I know I just like asked for 20 things, but even just one of them is good. What'd you think?
Yeah, so obviously, this is chapter 2 of The Strangers, which feels like chapter 3, and there's a reason for that. Even though there's a chapter 3 coming out later this year, I think. Or no, early next year. So let's back up and kind of set the stage. So The Strangers was a movie in 2008 called just The Strangers. And that one had Liv Tyler in it, if you remember. It was a pretty cool home invasion type horror movie where, these masked people come to the door and they basically, terrorize these people that are in the house. Then someone decided, hey, let's do a sequel. No, let's not do a sequel. Let's do a 3-movie series of movies called The Strangers Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and Chapter 3, where the first one is just The Strangers, 2008. Chapter 1 was 2024. Obviously, Chapter 2 is this year, and then Chapter 3 is next year. All of these latest series of movies were filmed together. So they were all filmed at once, which is why they're able to release them one year after another, back to back to back. So anyway, we got to see this one as a secret screening at Fantastic Fest, which was kind of cool. It was a secret screening, right, Will? I think it was.
It wasn't a secret screening, but it was still one of the high profile ones.
Yeah, that's right. It was a high profile. That's right. It was a feature film there, right? So anyway, so I'll give you the if you've seen any of these Strangers movies, you kind of know the concept by now. Let me read you the IMDb description of this. Left stranded in a small town with no way out, Maya, fresh on the heels of what happened in The Strangers Chapter 1, Maya must once again face a night of terror, courtesy of 3 deadly killers wearing masks and doll masks and stuff, whose rampage she must put to an end. So that's where we are. This movie picks up pretty much immediately after the events of Chapter 1, where the house is invaded. I don't want to spoil too much about Chapter 1 in case people haven't seen it, but anyway, I'll just say she ends up in the hospital, and that's where this movie starts, with Maya in the hospital, and the chasing and slashing commences pretty much right away. That's what these movies are. That's what this movie series seems to want to be, is a chaser slasher kind of movie. Not much story here per se for me. As a kind of a story and character guy, this one's a little bit weird for me because you don't really get any of that. You get Maya, who we know. You get a bunch of strangers, obviously, chasing her around with trying to kill her. For what? We don't even know. I'm not sure we'll learn by the end of this movie. There's some clues that are sprinkled in maybe toward the end of this film when we talk about them in spoilers as to what's really going on. I think it's partially explained, but yeah, this one was okay. I mean, it's not. I wish these movies had a little more to the story. I think the chasing and slashing and constant threats of masked people gets a little bit long in the tooth after a while, especially through actually 3 movies if you count the first one in 2008. This is a definite wait till streaming kind of movie for me, unless you're really looking for something that kind of fits the bill as a, you want to be possibly terrorized along with Maya in the theater during Halloween, and there's nothing else scarier that you can think of to watch. This one might fill the bill, but yeah, it's so for me.
All right. The So Chapter 2 from Jim. Got it. Thank you, babe. Appreciate that. Will, how about for you? Was this so? Was this go? How did this one hit?
Yeah, I think I'm probably even a little more no than Jim is on this. So I think one of the things.
So
yeah. Yeah. One of the things that really made the 2008 film, I think, work so well is the idea of these are not like high motive, like, killers, right? These are people who they showed up one day and they did this to this couple, and then while the couple's trying to figure stuff out, it's sort of like, why? It's like, because you answered the door, and it's supposed to sort of represent sort of like the sort of
Randomness.
like the randomness, the just the fact that, when you're the victim of these types of things, it's not always, some conspiracy. It's because, you were an opportunity or whatever, right? That worked super fucking well in the first movie because it was a very tightly cloistered film. The masks are spooky and all of that, but these are not like Michael Myers-esque killers. It's just home invaders who pick that door. So when you now do that same thing in the format that they've gone with, 3 chapters, and expand the whole thing out, you have to expand the story to match that now 4.5, 5-hour runtime instead of like a 90-minute runtime, right? And so if you're going to do that, now you have to have killers that are around longer, take more damage, and also that you kind of play more with their motivations. So the core premise of what this film originally was and stemmed from is dead on arrival with the entire format of what they're going with here. This movie was going to always struggle a little bit too, because if this whole thing is shot as one film, this is the middle of the movie. And the middle of the movie, of any horror movie, is usually just the running and trying to survive after the initial kills happen, but before the heroic comeuppance happens. This was always going to be sort of a dip there. And again, that's the problem with this kind of like this format overall. I struggled with this a lot. There's a time spent trying to maybe sort of want to develop the killers, but not really in this film. And I think that both of those solutions are kind of wrong. They spend too much time developing characters that don't need developing. And if you're going to do any of that development at all, then you need to do enough to make it worth the squeeze. Some fun slashing in this. There's some fun chasing and screaming. I do think the lead here is pretty solid, but this is kind of a low end of right down the middle. Go see this if you want a slasher in theaters, which is a thing that people want to see around Halloween. So I get that in that case, sure. But otherwise, I don't know. I struggle a little bit to recommend this.
So it is a no-no slash not recommend maybe question mark, essentially. Have I captured that
Yeah,
right?
we've got a so-so and a no-no. Are you the go-go?
I am not the go-go for this movie. Yeah, I didn't realize it was going to be 3 parts, y'all. I said y'all. I could be a Texan and say y'all.
Welcome to
2 days.
Austin,
2
Brad.
days.
2 days, 2 days. I'm already saying y'all. Yeah, I didn't realize this was going to be 3 parts. And you know me, like I'm weird, but I don't read a lot about like upcoming movies or watch a lot of trailers. I just get my butt in the seat and see what happens sometimes. And so this movie's getting to like what felt like the 4 hour mark, and I'm like, geez Louise, when are we gonna wrap this thing up? And then it ends, and I'm like, wait, what? And then like immediately it's like, oh yeah, there's gonna be a third one. And I'm like, why? Why did we have to do that? But I will say this gets the most clever. This gets the award for most clever use of a wild animal in a movie, I think, since Cocaine Bear. So I'll leave it at that.
Hmm.
But it was a fun little bit there, I think. But outside of that, I don't know. It felt like the first movie, kind of like all over again, especially like when we um like there's lots of stuff going on with like flashbacks and all kinds of things. And I don't know. I felt like a lot of time passed and not a lot of things happened. So, but it was still kind of a fun ride. I think unless we're going to review it for the show, I don't even know that my completionist urge would get me to see the third movie. But who knows? We'll find out. Maybe I'll feel more favorable later. I don't know, but Yeah.
I imagine there's sort of two doors ahead of us. There's one where there's something compelling up against it that week, and there's one where it's kind of the only real release that we have to choose from. And that sliding door right there will 100% dictate whether or not we review this next year.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But if that happens, there's literally nothing else to review. We could get a can of paint from Home Depot and review like the drying of the film on top. Like, how quickly does it happen and how interesting does it look? And it would probably still be more interesting than whatever the third part of this thing is going to be. Savage, I know, but I haven't had barbecue yet in Texas, and that feels pretty bad. Maybe I'm taking it out on the stranger stew. I don't know. We'll have to fix that well at
So it
some
sounds
point.
like you're even more no than me.
I think I am. I think I'm like no, 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 like three no's in a row. But anyway, well, how do we feel about a spoiler section where we can maybe more freely talk about some of the reasons we all kind of weren't as hot on this?
Yeah, I think
Yes,
we can.
jump right into spoilers.
Cool. We're not going to make it a bitch fest because we don't want to drag movies. Movie making is
No.
hard, y'all. And we respect movie makers and everything that goes into it. Sometimes movies don't jive with you. It's okay to talk about it when, that happens. But we do have some things I think we need to get out and express. Kind of taking me back to, well, no, that's for MBP After Dark. Someday I'll tell that story.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It involves one of those like mother like breastfeeding privacy
Pimple
pods in
popper,
an
like
airport.
pimple popper stuff. No.
And
So-
I was propositioned in the Dallas airport to have a hookup in one of the
oh,
breast milk expressing privacy pods.
I'll be 100% honest, Brad. I forgotten that story, but I was instead sort of distracted by, we saw something else in a movie we might talk about later on that involved pumping.
Oh,
And so immediately I was like, is
yes.
he making a VHS reference? And it's okay, gotcha.
You gave me far too much credit for thinking ahead. Anyway, spoilers for The Strangers Chapter 2 are officially fair game. If you continue to listen, you do so at your own slasher / bloody / track to the woods and stabbed peril. Spoilers are happening now. Where do y'all want to start?
Well, you'd mentioned a segment of this movie that was a pretty good use of like a wild animal, right?
Yes,
And which,
yeah.
since we're trying to stay positive, let's do that. That was
Okay.
the one scene that did get my blood flowing and get me a little bit on edge, because the way that scene was constructed, first of all, it was all audio. You hear like something like sounded like hoof beats, you know what I mean, like running through, and the camera's kind of moving quickly through the forest, hunting down Maya, and you didn't know what it was. It was kind of out of nowhere. This scene was kind of strange, but it worked. It was kind of the highlight of the film for me, and it made me think of a new.
It was the most boring part of the whole movie.
Well,
How
thanks
does
for
that work?
stealing my thunder, but I thought of a new title for the movie: The Strangers: Chapter 2: It's a Bore.
Nice.
Super fair. Yeah. That it was a different scene. And that, like, it did break up the rhythm of kind of people lurking through hallways with knives, cocking their heads, and sort of being
funny
there to kill.
faces.
It changed some things, and it added some additional threat to the character as she was in that wood section, which, I mean, is a big portion of the movie, but it gives her some threat other than just like, is it that person? Is it that person? So I think narratively it kind of worked there. And I did like that run up. Oh, you're right. That run up was really good. I was thinking the whole, like, as we're charging forward, like, is it a bear? No, And then I immediately went,
Yeah.
it's a wild hog. No, they wouldn't do wild hog. That would be too cool if they did a wild hog. And then the wild hog was there, and I was legit happy.
You don't see it till the scene is like 3/4 of the way over, because it's smashed. She's inside a wrecked car, which is in the middle of the forest somehow, and it's smashing the car, and you don't know. You hear the grunting and the yelling and the squeals, and you don't even know what it is, but it's pretty terrifying. I thought it was very effective.
Now,
Is there a drug that rhymes with boar or pig? Kind of like we had cocaine bear and like
Well, cocaine and
meth
bear don't
gator.
match. Cocaine
Well,
and
true, they
bear
don't
don't
rhyme, but
rhyme.
like that's true. But is there like some kind of like gore boar? There you go, boar, something.
yeah, I'm trying to think if there's a drug for it, but I can't.
Yeah, more
Yeah.
boar. I don't know. Anyway, it's not important.
If you're into it,
But
Vorbor.
Vorbor. There you
I
go.
I say that I would bet money right now there's a Tumblr account with someone with that profile. I'm
sure there is.
I'm not the first person in the world to discover that one.
I'm sure there is. While we're on the positive, I also want to give out shout out to the really creepy motherfucker who's also a very hot bear. He had a very nice beard, and although he did not appear shirtless, I did enjoy watching him on screen until he got super creepy and awful, and then I didn't want to see him anymore.
Yeah, this movie is not sexy in the least, unfortunately, that I remember. I will give some more credit to the film in that, like you said, it's like 4.5, 5 hours of movie and over this series that they're trying to split up into 3, and we're getting the middle section. And the whole premise of the part of watching this is like, why are these people doing this? Why are they putting the masks on and terrorizing seemingly random people? And why do they keep going after Maya? Like, what is it? Are we going to learn this? And the movie does, toward the second half and the end, through some flashbacks to a childhood playground, I think, or something like that, we start to see some formation of evilness in these people. Does it really make sense in the end? Not really, not yet. I don't think we've got enough of the pieces for it to kind of make sense to us. But again, maybe that's what this movie's going for. Is just like some people are evil, some people are born that way, or they're they develop that way, and this is what we get for it. But I think it does at least try to give, and I think it gives a little breadcrumbs of where it's going maybe in chapter 3.
Yeah. So I think that kind of speaks to a little bit about one of the other elements that I didn't care for. And that's, I think going that route, it's less about kind of like the randomness of evil and kind of how it feels, more to the mythology of evil, right? And for it to, when it goes that route, it goes very hard down the Carpenter's Halloween route, from the way that these kids seem disconnected to even the way when they take damage, they kind of just brush it off. There's a moment where one of the two girls, I forget whether it's Pinup or Dollface, gets stabbed in the leg with
a pitchfork.
And she just kind of,
she's fine.
She's not like later on going like, oh God, that fucking hurt, or like screams out in pain. So when you get something like that, it's like, oh, this is almost like a supernatural evil. And we got to see that even with some of the other stuff, just kind of the way they materialized behind, and not that they're teleporting or shit like that. That's not the case, but the camera choices and the script choices to do it this way really, 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 really make you feel like they're trying to create horror icons than to cement kind of what worked so well about the the core of the story.
Right. And whereas you talk about Michael Myers and Halloween, if spoilers for Halloween, but from 1978 or whatever, but like at least we got that origin story right at the very beginning of the film, right? It frames the character enough for us to know, that he is evil from the get-go, right? This movie, I think, takes the opposite way around, and it's giving us all the evil that this character does in their adult lives, and only gives us a little bit of breadcrumbs as to, oh, here's the young evil kids, possibly. And it's a little, I don't know, it just doesn't feel, it does, I don't think it works nearly as well as something like Halloween.
Yeah, it felt like all the kid flashbacks. Like, I know they're supposed to be interesting and they're supposed to inform, but they feel so disjointed from the rest of the film. And it's not even like, you know how movies do this thing where it's like, ooh, it's a flashback, and we see the character who's flashing back doing a thing when they flashback. It's not even like that. It's like totally random when these stupid flashbacks start. It's like not totally connected to a POV character, is it? Or did I miss something?
I mean, there's some things like with the boar. There's some things it shows the kids, like, oh, I'm gonna train these boars to do whatever I want them to do.
There's two ways to do flashbacks, and this is what this sort of speaks to, is there's a way to do it narratively, and there's a way to do it prospectively. Narratively would be, we see the boar in one scene, then we flash back to the boar somewhere else. It's not a character thinking about it or doing it. Prospectively would be from the perspective of, like, a character's doing something, and then we kind of flash through their perspective to what they're remembering or something like that. The problem is that this film is going for narrative, but it doesn't always hit the key points exactly where they need to be. Like, if you could cheat and get away with it if it is from a character's perspective, because all you have to do is, like, close in on their eyes and then shoot them as a kid, fine, you're fucking good. But if you're going to do it this way, all of those beats have to hit, and they don't. The boar is kind of the only one that does land, I think.
Right. Like Chekhov's boar. Okay, Chekhov. Like, we got it. That one's okay, probably. But there are other ones that are totally not connected to anything. And it just kept pulling me out of the movie. And like I said, I spent the whole movie thinking this was it. This was wrapping it up. And I'm like, oh, we're finally getting the backstory. We'll get some resolution. We still don't know and understand everything. So
I saw this movie twice. You guys saw it once, and I seem to be the one that liking it is a strong word, but I seem to be the one who's a little bit more forgiving than you two. So maybe you guys need to see it again. Maybe that's what happens.
That could be the solution. That's our message to everyone listening right now. When you have free time, rewatch movies you don't like. No matter how precious your time on this earth is, so that you can maybe hopefully appreciate them more.
Listen, boy, the Emperor is not as forgiving as Jim is.
No, I didn't really like the movie. I think like I said, I think it's so. It's a horror movie. It doesn't. It's a long way from tripping my trigger. There's moments that are kind of cool, but other than that, just doesn't as overall work. Who knows? Chapter 3 may save some of it. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll find out next Halloween, next Fantastic Fest.
There you go. Well, speaking of tripping your trigger and Fantastic Fest, are y'all, there we go again, ready to maybe shift away from something that didn't quite land and talk about a whole lot of things that maybe did land at Fantastic Fest?
That would be fantastic.
That's fantastic.
All right. Well, thus brings to a close our discussion of The Strangers, Chapter 2. If we're going to have a Strangers 3 episode, I may need to rethink some life choices, but we'll see how that goes. But we'll go ahead and transition over to the Fantastic Fest part of our show, everybody. Will, I know that Fantastic Fest is so near and dear to your heart that, like, it's kind of literally on your body, isn't it? Maybe, kind of.
100. Well, it's not showing up super well on camera. Yes, I have 3 Fantastic Fest tattoos.
which is awesome.
Different things I've kind of branded and picked up over the years. Yeah.
Well, your three tattoos, and of course, this being a film fest in the city in which you reside, I think make you the perfect person to tell everyone a little bit about what Fantastic Fest is, because a lot of folks don't know. And maybe just kind of set up what we're going to be doing for the next little while as we chat about the festival.
Yeah, so Fantastic Fest is celebrating this year its 20th anniversary. So this was a big celebration year. It is the largest genre film festival in the United States. What's a genre film, or what's a genre film festival? That's a festival focused on very specific subgenres within film. So in other words, sci-fi, horror, thrillers, kung fu, any of those things. This is not a horror fest or sci-fi fest, but a fest that covers all of these different subgenres together. I've been going now for, this was my 13th year celebrating at Fantastic Fest here in Austin, Texas, put on by the Alamo Draft House. And man, I had a wonderful time this year. Jim came down. We had a chance to see several movies together, kind of all throughout and just hang out kind of constantly in between, talking about what we liked, what we didn't, those types of things. There were, I believe, 100 or 100 plus different things in the lineup between films, short films, special events. Some of those events include like boxing matches and karaoke and all sorts of things. But for us, we really dove into the films. We marathoned these films. There were 36 available slots, and we saw 36 available films. And I think, as Brad alluded to at the beginning, we could go through here and spend hours and hours reviewing all 36 of those. We can't. That's not going to be something anyone would want to listen to. But we do have a couple of highlights from the fest that we'd like to share.
Definitely. And yeah, Will, I know between the two, we never really did a count between the two of us, because there's some things that we saw together, or the same things. A lot of them we saw together, not necessarily together like in the same theater, but we saw the same films during the festival, because each film usually screens 2 or 3 times. So there's opportunities to see them if you have schedule difficulties. But because I got there a day late, I think I saw 33 slots and you saw 36. But yeah,
like at that point, like there's no being a size queen when we're kind of in the 30 plus range.
Exactly.
Although, Jim, does that mean you need 3 more of your slots filled? Because I mean, I could help.
Yeah.
Oh, hey now.
When I get home.
Nice. Okay.
So
Let's
33 slots filled.
We'll have to
for
make
you.
up for those 3 slots. Which 3? I don't know.
That'll be a fun October. So I guess I'll go first with one of my picks. I think we're going to do 3 each. And the one that I'm going to start with is actually one that is out in theaters now. So you can go see this movie right now. It's called One Battle After Another. We got to see this is the new film by Paul Thomas Anderson, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro. And what we got a chance to do at the festival is we saw it both a little early before it came out, and we got to see the world premiere of the 70-meter print. So instead of just digital projection, there's now a 70 millimeter that's going around. We got to see that. Man, this is a fun movie. The idea behind it is Leonardo DiCaprio is this guy who used to be sort of like a revolutionary, but now he's got a kid, and his wife, who he had the kid with, has been on the run for 16 years. Well, he's now kind of settled down into being a bit of a stoner, and his daughter's now, she's 16 years old. She's not the little baby she was at the beginning of this. All of a sudden, kind of the past comes back to haunt him, and it kind of embroils both of them in sort of a wide range caper. Paul Thomas Anderson does it like just about nobody else does. He's a fantastic director. It's hard to nail down genre. Is this crime drama? Yeah, that's the genre of it. Is it comedy, political thriller? Yeah, that's in there too. Is it an action film? Yeah, in some places. he's just a really great filmmaker, kind of weaving what I consider to be kind of like the great American picture, which is like, for being so focused on subgenres, I just was, this film encapsulates several of them and kind of becomes something that is kind of bigger than genre itself. I love this movie, and I strongly recommend check it out in theaters while it's out now. It's one battle after another.
Yeah, thanks, Will. I did not get to see that one at Fantastic Fest, so I had to go see it like last night, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Those of you who want to see how much I enjoyed it can look at my Letterboxd. Plug for Letterboxd. They are not a sponsor yet. But yeah, one battle after another is the goods. It's the kind of movie that reminds me of movies they don't make anymore, really. It's just pretty fantastic for almost 3-hour movie. It flew by.
Well said, Jim. Well said.
Will, so for our listeners who are digesting the show through the audio version, you can't see that Will is holding up a cardboard cutout mouth with goatee. I assume that's Leonardo DiCaprio's mouth and goatee from the movie.
Yeah, they gave these out at the film. It had his goatee on one side, and then the name of the movie on the back side. So it was really funny at a film festival. There's a bunch of like chubby bearded guys, because that's just like what. So I saw dozens of people with these up, and every single one of them made the same joke, like, "What would I look like with a beard?" And we all have
there you
beards.
go.
Yeah.
Well, it's
you
funny.
have two of them. Yeah.
Jim brought one of those home too, and he had like a little basket of goodies to like show me from Fantastic Fest. But that was the first thing I saw, and I'm like, "Is that a masturbation aid? Like, what is that?" Little did I know.
Brad.
What? It's a goateed mouth. What else are you gonna do with it? Oh, fan yourself.
You can fan yourself with it, yeah.
Disguise yourself if you need to. Yeah.
There you go.
Rob a bank, whatever.
Well, thanks so much for sharing your first pick coming out of the festival. As you mentioned, yep, that's available in theaters right now, so folks can go out and enjoy it. Jim, what's your first pick from the festival?
Oh, my first pick is a film that was getting a lot of buzz while we were at the festival. I had never heard of this film before. Probably never would have heard of it at all until maybe Oscar time or something. It's a Spanish film called Sirat, Sirat. And this one is about it's about a lot of things, but it's a pretty simple story about a father and his young son go looking for the father's missing daughter and the boy's missing sister in North Africa, somewhere like Morocco, or I forget where it is, but they're going through the desert to these raves that are held out in the middle of the desert, which I didn't even know was a thing. I don't know if it's a construct for this movie or it really happens, but it's a wild trip. This is mostly road movie, part Mad Max, part reminds me of the movie Climax. If anybody saw the movie Climax years ago, it's constant, almost constant. For those of you fans of like EDM, the soundtrack of this movie or the score of this movie is insane. And I'm not a huge EDM fan, but I still ended up really getting into this. It's probably the film that had the most impact on me, like watching it in the theater. Like I was coming out, I physically felt like I had seen something. And that's exactly what I go to the movies for. I want to feel something. It's called Sirat. I think it's going to be entered into the Oscar pool as Spain's entry for Best Foreign Feature. So look for it. I'm sure it will be coming out. I don't know what it's got for distribution yet, but it's called Sirat, and it kind of blew me away while I was there. Didn't expect it, and I just love that experience of going in without any expectation and being blown away, and that's what this one did.
Will, was this one
Yeah,
that you saw?
Surat is actually. I'm glad you picked this one, Jim. This was my favorite film of the festival. It is. You're right. The music is just such a lifeline of pulse that goes through this film. The characters are all quirky in a way that does not feel obnoxious. Like
It's
they
not a
all have.
comedy at all.
It's not a comedy. No, like it's just these are people who are the type of people that would go to Burning Man and then decide to go to a second Burning Man while they're there. And so there's a certain amount of like eccentricity that comes with that in this really grounded story. It is shot beautifully for a movie that is mostly just like desert. That could be boring, but it's not here. It's always either beautiful or engaging or shot in a compelling way. And more than anything else, and this is the thing that I would tell people should be the make or break about whether or not you go see this movie when it comes out. This is one of the most taut and tension-inducing movies that I've ever seen. In that by the time the story really ramps up, I feel like I'm so on the edge of my seat and I don't really ever get a chance to get off of the edge of my seat until the credits. And that can be frustrating for some, can be distracting for some. To you kind of want to go to the movies to relax, but if you love a movie that just wants to like, get you in the gut and just kind of keep twisting, this movie does it. Surat is the goods. Aside from what we've said here, notice we've gone really light on the overall story of it. Go in blind, because the more people try to explain what this film is like, the more that it kind of will spoil some of the more exciting elements to it. So just go in as blind as possible. But yeah, this takes both Jim and I's, I think, probably highest recommendations.
All right. Well, I'm keeping this one on my radar for sure. But what would you call this movie if the desert was red in it?
I'm trying to think where this one's
The
going.
Martian.
No, it's really bad. Are you ready? Are you
Yeah.
ready? Sriracha.
Sriracha.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, anyway. All right. So thank you so much, Jim, for sharing your first pick. I, of course, was not at Fantastic Fest. I am not bitter about it. We had other things going on, but I'm glad Jim got to go. And I get to be here and see the wonderful Will and Scott and the pups now. But we're gonna go back to the top of the order. I did see one Fantastic Fest film, but I'm gonna save it for after the next round. So Will, what was your next pick?
Yeah, so I'm doing kind of a theme with mine. There were 4 secret screenings that played at the festival, and I'm going to go through 3 of those secret screenings. The first one was the One Battle After Another. The second one is the new film by Yorgos Lanthimos called Begonia. Yorgos Lanthimos, he's the guy that gave us, probably most notably was the lobster, Poor Things, and Favorite. But between Killing of the Sacred Deer, Dogtooth, he's made just Kinds of Kindness from last year. Dude keeps putting out like banger after banger. This film is a sort of sci-fi comedy, which is really interesting coming from him. Basically, you've got these 2 young men who become convinced that there is a secret alien invasion that's about to happen, and that this one particular CEO of like this really big company, that she's the alien, and if they can capture her and get the information out of her, they can maybe save her. The mains in this, Emma Stone is absolutely fearless as the CEO in this. This is one of those performances where she's always a good actress, but this is one where it's just sort of she goes with no restraint. It's great. Jesse Plemons is one of the 2 men who kidnap her, and then Aidan Delbus is the other. This is a very funny movie. This is a very dark and compelling sci-fi movie. But it's not when I say dark, this is not a bloody torture Saw movie. That's not what he's making here. This plays much more in that kind of satirical space. So it's called Begonia. If you like Emma Stone or Jesse Plemons, if you like kind of sci-fi with sci-fi with a twist, if you've liked anything by Yorgos Lanthimos in the past, this is really high up there. This is also a sort of a reimagining of a film from Korea from 2003 called Save the Green Planet. I would also say if you're a fan of that, you should watch this, but I think that's a much narrower sliver than people who are fans of Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone.
Yeah, well, this is one I did not get to see. It's my one disappointment of the festival is that this was one of the secret screenings. And for not to get into too much detail and, inside baseball on it, but when the festival has these screenings, they put a screening, like a secret screening like this one, in multiple screens. However, almost everybody at the festival is scrambling to get seats and tickets for these screens, and they do it on a priority basis. And depending on your ticket, you might have late access to those tickets, which I did. And I kind of got shut out. And I was a little bit bummed, but I know I'm going to catch up with this movie, Will. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It looks like I would probably enjoy it, maybe. But I'll see it when it gets released soon, hopefully.
All right.
My next one, Brad, unless you wanted to go next.
No, I'll go after you. I was just
Okay.
going to say, what happens to a Yorgos movie after you see it finally?
Oh,
good things? No, poor things. No, I don't know what it is. Lanthimos?
Something the most. But I can't figure out what the first part is.
It becomes a Mygos Lanthimos movie.
Okay, yeah.
I literally have nothing to contribute to this conversation but dad jokes until we get to my movies. So
listen,
punny dad jokes.
Punish us, Daddy.
Oh, okay. See me later. Anyway, okay, Jim, your next pick coming out of Fantastic Fest. What is it? Tell us all about it.
This is one that again, I didn't know much about this at all going in. I saw a lot of the times you just see the title and you don't even have time to read a synopsis or see who's in it or anything. I'm like, oh, The Plague. It definitely sounds like something that's, fits Fantastic Fest. It's probably about the Black Plague that happened in some horror film in Europe, the turn of the century Europe or something like that. Nope, this movie is not that at all. It's an American film starring some young actors, and we'll get into that in a minute. But mainly it's about a socially awkward kid who endures a ruthless hierarchy at a water polo camp, like a summer camp, basically. He's with other water polo kids, at camp. His anxiety spiraling into psychological turmoil. This movie was awesome, and I don't know what kind of release it's going to get or what kind of reception it's going to get. Joel Edgerton is in this one. I read that he was in line to direct this one. He wanted to direct this film, but he ended up not directing it. Somebody named Charlie Pollinger did it as his first directorial debut, and it is great. This movie, it's psychological drama. It's not horror, but it's tension filled. That anxiety you had as a kid, like going to school and enduring the taunts and the teasing and the cliques of the other kids and wondering if you're going to fit in. And there's always the kid who's on the outside and the strange kid. That is hyped up to 10 here. And the acting in here like kind of blew me away. And what's funny is the main actor here his name is Everett Blunk. He's probably like 14 or 15 maybe years old, as well as most of the rest of the cast, because this is a water polo camp for kids that are like junior high age, I guess you'd say. And Uh the fun, the weird thing is, like, as soon as he came on the screen, I'm like, I know that kid from somewhere, because we do this a lot, right? When we watch movies, we're like, hey, we know that face. Who is that? Well, sure enough, on the plane out to Fantastic Fest, flying out to Austin, I loaded my iPad up with movies that I usually do. Someone told me about this movie called Griffin in Summer and said, oh, you got to watch this movie about Griffin in Summer. It's about this kid who is a playwright, and he's a bit effeminate, might be gay, and he falls in love with his mom's hired help around the house, like a teenage, like loser that comes in, and he's an older kid, and it's one of those awkward, like, crush, like gay crush kind of movies. Anyway, it was the same kid, and the kid is great. His name is Everett Blunk. I think you're going to see a lot from him. The movie's called The Plague. I really, really love this film.
Yeah, this is one that Jim, you're in luck. There is a limited theatrical happening on December 24th, and then it comes out. It expands on January 2nd. So
Cool.
this one is going to be hitting some theaters. Obviously, this isn't an Avengers film, so it's not going to be in every multiplex. But it is. There is a very good chance, especially if you have an art house theater near you, that this one will get that run. It's I enjoyed it as well. I think when we were making our lists in real time, Jim and I, usually we kind of vary a little bit sort of in what we're doing. We ended up with a lot, us and our friend John, who was kind of the third member of our trio seeing movies. We ended up having a lot of alignment this year, which was kind of neat. And this was one we all ended up loving. You're right. It's very tense. It's very full of that kind of social anxiety of like what it's like to be in a group of other boys and maybe not necessarily be the one that's doing the picking on or the bullying, but being someone who might potentially become that if they don't participate, and kind of what that means and how that feels. And I do want to mention, just because I forgot to mention it, the film I had mentioned right before, Begonia, it has an October 31st release date. So cool. These are films that you can line up. You can see Begonia on Halloween, and then you can go see The Plague, maybe if you're in the right area, on Christmas Eve. Yeah.
Perfect timing, right? It's gotta be.
The Plague. Yeah.
Nothing more thematic, for a new year and the holidays than, a plague.
The Plague. A plague.
We would know from the last.
A plague of sorts. Of sorts.
There's been different years have different plagues. This year's has been orange.
Yeah, the orange plague. Yeah.
The orange.
We all got it, unfortunately. Yeah.
And we're not talking about too much vitamin D, y'all. Something else. Just just making sure you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
In any event, Jim, thank you for sharing your second pick. Both Will and Jim have one more movie to go through coming out of Fantastic Fest. But I, thanks to the magic of streaming and a really great friend, got to see one of the films that had just been at Fantastic Fest a few days prior. Of course, it's out now. It's available on Shudder as well as AMC Plus, which is a little weird to me that it's on AMC Plus, but AMC Plus, thank you for making this film available. I have been a fan of a lot of these like found footage style horror movies since the Blair Witch Project. And I know it was like really fun to like rip off, on the Blair Witch, but like it kind of did a thing in horror movies. And we've had so many great found footage films. FFF. Ooh, found footage film at Fantastic Fest. FFFAFF. FFF. There you go. And VHS Halloween is absolutely one that I would laud as a really great example of the genre. We saw the first VHS movie years ago at South by Southwest Film, and then we saw the second one, and the director was like naked in the movie, and he's a hairy bear, and it was super hot. And I'm like, I need to watch more of these movies, apparently. But then I kind of lost track of them, and there's like, I don't know, 7 of them out at this point or something. Will, you were telling me they kind of like make a new one every year now, and I'm really glad that this one came out during spooky season, was at Fantastic Fest. VHS Halloween really leans into that like found footage style, of course. But what I really appreciate most about this movie, we've seen so many horror movies now where it's just like a CGI like blood fest, like even if it's bad CGI, like, they're just doing all the things with it. And one of my laments about modern horror is the lack of practical effects. And even though this one is a VHS, film, the idea is it's old videotapes with like, short vignettes of like different horror stories that have been found and watched on these tapes. I think because it's like a old VHS kind of thing, um, the the really awful, and I say awful in the best way, but the really awful practical effects sometimes is just what totally sells these bonker, off the wall, like scary stories, especially in this VHS Halloween. So, if you are a big fan of like a lot of the old 80s movies with like, the crazy practical blood effects and skin being ripped off and, um, children in peril. I'll leave it at that. This is a really good one. It's available right now again on Shutter and AMC Plus. But I just want to add personally, Will, this was super fun. Just watching with you and the doggos yesterday. Even though I was not bitter that Jim went to Fantastic Fest and I did not, there was still part of my heart that was like, "Oh, genre films. I wish I was there." And I kind of got to be, even though
Hmm.
Jim, you're in Tucson. Will, you were the link that brought us together.
Well,
I
yeah.
Oh,
I'm keeping the happy family together. Yeah, Brad, this one was fun to watch with you, and I'll be honest, I was a little worried when I loaded it up because the VHS series, even deep fans of the VHS series will say that there's some peaks and there's some valleys. And then
mm,
even in any horror anthology, there are peak and valley shorts. So there was a real dice roll when I said, let's watch this one together. And I was really happy that this ended up being, I think, one of the stronger overall entries. There were a lot of shorts in this that were a ton of fun, whether they be the comedic ones that maybe showed up in your dreams, or some of the more grim, or some of the more bloody and gory ones. There's all of those are different flavors that you get from this, and all those flavors kind of worked here. So yeah, VHS Halloween was fun to watch with you, and I think will be fun for people to watch this Halloween season.
Yeah,
in
now, Will, you saw it at Fantastic Fest or you didn't?
I did not see it at Fantastic
Okay,
Fest, so I got
right.
my first watch with Brad.
Nice. Yeah. And I did see it at Fantastic Fest, and I hadn't remembered that they're all found footage, right? All the VHS ones are all pretty much found footage because that's the premise, right?
Yeah,
VHS. So yeah, there's some definite fun ones in this series. There's like 6 or 7, right?
mhm.
In this anthology. Some of them really hit. Fun Size. I'm not going to give away anything, but Fun Size is good, and there's
fun
a haunted house.
Fun
size.
size.
It is. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one was crazy, but crazy good.
Indeed. All right. Well, that brings us to our last two film picks from Fantastic Fest 2025. Well, shoot your last shot.
Last shot. This is the last of the secret screenings that we saw, and this one has a release date of January 2026. I don't remember the exact date, but it's coming out the beginning of next year. And the movie is called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. That is a mouthful. Good luck, have fun, don't die. Movie is directed by Gore Verbinski, which is he's the guy that did all of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and this is his first feature film since A Cure for Wellness, which I think we covered on the show back in 2016. So this is almost 10 years out of retirement for him to make this film. And it is another I guess I'm giving you a couple of sci-fi comedies because this is a sci-fi adventure comedy where there's this diner and all of a sudden in walks Sam Rockwell, and he is just dressed like the weirdest, like homeless guy with like bits of like just kind of trash and just shit, like kind of like just all kind of glued and kind of covered on him. And he basically claims to be a man from the future. And he's arrived here at this diner 140 plus times in the past. And he has to save the world from a rogue artificial intelligence from his time in the future. He has to get the precise combination of kind of pissed off patrons here in the diner to accompany him on his trek across town. What I love so much about this is, one, this is a very funny movie. It kind of plays with the kind of the weirdness of that particular premise, a time traveler where everyone else is just like, yeah, you've got a bomb strapped to you, so of course we're going to follow you, but we don't actually think you're a time traveler, to kind of figuring out kind of more about what's going on. There's a little bit of a message here. I think there's a lot bit of a message about kind of like AI and how it can run the risk of like overwhelming us. But this isn't a preachy movie. This is a comedy sci-fi film where the artificial AI plays about the same role as maybe like Skynet does in Terminator. Like, it's there, but you know, you also can enjoy the other shit. This has a few other really good supporting cast members in it. I love Zazie Beetz, and she was really good in this. She and Michael Pena play two of the people that have to accompany Sam Rockwell across town. There's also a Juno Temple, who you would remember from Ted. What's his last name? Lasso. Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
Yeah. So she plays Keely on Ted Lasso. She's in this, and then also so is Haley Lou Richardson. So really good cast here. But overall, man, this was a lot of fun. I'm definitely loving this sort of like weird, funny kind of like sci-fi stories that are not like alien spaceships and epic space operas, but just sort of like one weird little sci-fi-ish premise kind of played out to completion through the course of a feature. This movie really does that. Good luck, have fun, don't die. It's super fun.
Yeah, well, I wish I could have seen that one too. Again, that's another one I'll have to see when it comes out. But I did get to see another movie that I think you did see. And this is a weird combination for me. I'm not a huge fan of like martial arts fights movies. I mean, I did love The Raid. I did love Old Boy, which had some of that in it. This one's more kind of in the Old Boy style, I guess. This one's called The Forbidden City or Forbidden City. It's an Italian martial arts fighting movie, I guess you could say. It's kind of if you mashed up like an Italian family crime drama with a martial arts revenge film. Basically smash those two together, and that's what you get in this one. It's called Forbidden City, directed by Gabrielle Minetti, which I think that's a female name, so you have a female director here. I was surprised how much I liked this one, because I'm like, okay, this is one I put into a slot where it wasn't anything that was striking my fancy. I'm like, okay, I'll see Forbidden City. So I went to see it, and I really loved it, mostly because of the drama, the acting. The fight scenes were great, but it wasn't like wall-to-wall fight scenes, which some people may knock the movie for that, but not me. I did like the story that was put together here, and the acting and the characters that were developed. It's called Forbidden City. Kung Fu and Italian mafia. Yeah, put me in.
One of the neat things about this one was our friend John, who we were at this festival with, he saw it in the first half, and he was glowing about it so much that I changed my schedule in the second half to make this one fit. And Jim, you had seen it. And so this was one where, I mean, it's beautifully shot. The fight scenes are great. The kind of the romance, her as the fighter, him as the chef, is just so compelling. But I love that there was a moment, there's an ending sequence to this where the three of us multiple times just, I mean, not just after that day, but I think the next day too, just found ourselves talking about like, what do you think this meant at the end? And I thought that was really fun that we all had a takeaway from the story, from an action movie, from a fighting movie that extended into conversation beyond the film itself. I thought that was cool. This is a really good pick.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
so
I
many
think that
great
brings
films.
us.
So, yeah.
Yeah. If you had to rattle off just one more, not a full explanation, but just pick one more movie out of your brain, just the title, what would it be?
Go ahead, Will. You go first.
Obsession.
Okay. The Piano Accident.
Okay. I'm obsessed with finding out what the piano accident is all about. See what I did there?
You should be.
So good.
You should be.
Yeah.
All right. Well, sounds like Fantastic Fest. Especially because like I've been before, so like I'm in the Facebook group and I'm seeing all the reviews from other people who aren't just y'all, who of course your opinions I love and trust. But it just seems like so many great films came out of the festival this year, and hopefully they all get release dates and distribution and are in theaters or streaming so that folks can see and check them out. But if you haven't been to Fantastic Fest before and you like genre movies and film festivals, keep an eye out for Fantastic Fest 2026. And maybe you'll run into Will, Jim, maybe me. We'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
you got to go next year. I could tell you after not going for several years, we had gone back in the 2017, 2018 time period before COVID.
Yep.
And then we kind of fell off, and then COVID happened, and now we're going back. It felt great to go back. And I'm sure
awesome.
You would, once you get your taste of the Alamo this week, watching whatever movie you're going to go see, I think maybe we can talk you into going next year.
There we go. Well, you probably won't have to talk me into it too hard. If we're living in Austin, by then I won't have to take vacation days to travel.
That won't be a hard arm twist at all, huh?
No, right. No.
All right. Well, listen, in case people want to chat between now and our next recording, let's clue them in as to how they can do so before we wrap up what's been a really great discussion. Jim, how can folks find and connect with you online?
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier, but you can find me on Letterboxd. My handle there is at JJP Out West, my initials, and then Out West. I actually have a list created for Fantastic Fest 2025, and you can see how I rated every single film that I saw. Well, almost every film. The short films aren't necessarily on there, but every feature film that I saw at Fantastic Fest this year is rated on there, from my 5 stars all the way down to my 1.5 stars. How's that? And then you can find me on Facebook under my name, Jim Pugliafico.
All right, thank you so much, babe. Appreciate that. Will, how about you? How can folks engage?
Absolutely. Facebook is the social way. William Lindis on there. And then just like Jim, check me out on Letterboxd. My tag there is at the Movie Bear. And like Jim, I've gone through and I've given reviews and star ratings to all 36. I say 36, but it's probably more like 50 movies because I didn't review the short films, but I did star rate them. And then I wrote reviews for all the features. All that stuff lives right there. So if you want to find out about some of the best films that you haven't heard of yet, but that you will like sometime next year, go to Letterboxd and start pilfering Jim and I's lists from this festival.
Is it pilfering though, or is it more like
perusing?
Perusing. You read my brain. I love it.
It is. Yeah, that is very true. It is pilfered goods freely given.
There you go. All right. Thanks, Will. Appreciate you as well. Folks, you can find me on Facebook. Just look for Bradley Harris. I'm the chubby bearded dude. Imagine that. Who also has the podcast, like mentioned in his blurb thing. You can also find me on Letterboxd at iBradPro, like iPad Pro. I don't even know if iPad Pros are a thing anymore. 10 years ago when I made that up, it was very clever, y'all. maybe not so much now, but that's okay. It's who I am, and that's beautiful. In any event, thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. We had some folks who were listening live with us. Hello to you. I know 99% of people access our show through Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So a few days from now, when you're listening to this episode, or maybe a few years from now, geez, I mean, it happens all the time. The person I mentioned at the top of the show, who's a new listener, went back and started with episode 1, y'all. Episode
Oh,
1.
I want to say
Mm.
both thank you and I'm sorry to that person.
I know, right? Oh God, that was back when we were like, I don't know. I was like, I wasn't trying to do an NPR voice, but I think it was coming out and it was terrible. And oh my God, 500 and something episodes later, it's so much better. Sorry it took a few hundred episodes, but anyway, whether you're a new listener, you've been with us a long time, we sure appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. You're the reason why we do this, aside from loving each other and loving talking about movies. But it's a big bonus for us. So we appreciate you, and we will see you all next time. Take care, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye bye.